Stop saying you're nervous. Stop saying you're sorry. Those are two examples of disempowering words that you need to remove from your vocabulary. We're going to talk about power language pattern protocols and how to get the power back into your language. Many times you've been in a store, out at an engagement, party, wherever, work, and someone gets in your space and they say, I'm sorry. They haven't touched you, they haven't bumped into you, they just say, I'm sorry. And then you say, well, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry? There's no reason to be sorry. Anytime somebody says that to me, I say, no reason to be sorry. Just say, excuse me. Now, years ago, I used to say, I'm sorry. People would get in my space and I'd say, I'm sorry. And then I realized something very profound, something extremely, well, it was disempowering at the time. And I want you to see this. I am sorry. It's like as if I was commanding to my mind that I am sorry. Sorry is not an empowering word. Never has been, never will be. And so when you say that, it totally drains the power out of you. Now what happens is that you've got your conscious and you've got your subconscious mind. This becomes subconscious, which means you do it so it's just automatic. I'm sorry. I've trained myself over the years and others that when that occasion occurs, you say, excuse me. See, because excuse me does not connotate negativity, whereas I am sorry does, or I'm sorry. But I am sorry is really what your mind is hearing. And so you want to replace that. Like I said, you want to replace it with something like, hey, excuse me. Excuse me. That's it. Plain and simple, not a big deal. You see, we're talking about power language versus victim. You see, when you do these type of language patterns, I am sorry, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, you're a victim. I want you to take complete ownership of your language, and the way you're going to do that is consciously. And I'm talking total control. That's why I teach people to become controllers because that's really what it's all about. Most people get nervous, become anxious, they fall into fear. Man, that's a tough one. It's really as if these states happen to them. But the truth is, you don't get nervous. You create nervous. You do nervous. You perform nervous. Just like you do confidence. You do power. You do success. See, it's your choice. Every single time, it's your choice. And so I want you to think of every word that you say over the next week. And I know this is a big job, but I want you to think when you say something, I want you to reflect this. Was that empowering or was it not? Especially like this thing, I'm sorry. I see it all the time. And now that I have made it my goal to help as many people as I can, when I'm out and about, I could be at the store, the grocery store, and somebody says, oh, I'm sorry because they got their shopping cart. I say, hey, no reason to be sorry. Just say, excuse me. Because one's empowering, one is not. Let's talk about some common victim language, right? You're going to be a victim. I'm nervous. I am nervous. I get anxious. Stress makes me, I'm all stressed out. This situation causes me. See, what happens is, again, These are very common things. You wake up in the morning, oh man, I'm so tired. I can't believe how tired I am. Well, you're feeding your subconscious mind that I am tired. I am tired. Why would you want to wake up like that? You could say, feel a little tired, but then you immediately say, I feel powerful and alive and awake. I feel powerful, alive, and awake. Could you imagine tomorrow morning when you wake up, instead of thinking what you normally think, you wake up and you say, I feel powerful, awake, and alive. I said alive and awake, but I like awake and alive better. I feel powerful, awake, and alive. And you say that like 5 times in the morning when you get up. You feel that power. You see, because when you use these other weak words, non-power words, there's some hidden costs that you don't even realize it. Financial impact. The financial impact comes in that when you say less disempowering words, people hear that. And it could cause you to stop or to prevent you from getting deals done. It could stop you or prevent you from getting a sale. It could stop you or prevent you from taking that next level of success in business. Relationships. Do you think that if your talk is weak to your partner, to somebody in relationships, and not just a a husband wife relationship or other loving relationship, but any relationship, think a little bit about that. Relationship consequences, right? See, now I've got a little bit of a cough, but do you know what I don't ever say? What I used to say all the time? I used to say, I am sick. I don't say that anymore. I have a cold. I have a cough. I have a sore throat. Guess what? All of these are better than being sick. Even if admit you say I have the flu is better than saying I'm sick because the word sick is a bad word. Look up the word sick. It's terrible. And yet we say it all the time. Oh, he's sick. She's sick. They're sick. The whole house is sick. No. The whole house maybe is not feeling as well as they did the week before, but they're not sick. And that's a tough one because I even catch myself. But these are all conscious patterns that you've got to run inside of your mind and then instill them into the subconscious. Career limitations, lost opportunities based on the way you talk. It really comes down to the way you talk, the way you walk, your energy, the way you feel. These are all things. But let's talk a little bit about this because I'm going to give you a power shift now that's going to allow you to go from, I always say, go from zero to hero or hero to superhero. But let's talk about ownership statements. Okay. Number one, ownership. Did you ever notice that the word ownership sounds so much more powerful than if you were just renting, right? You were just leasing. Ownership has a power to it. Ownership statements: I do or I don't do. I create, I generate, I choose to. You see, you can replace disempowering words, just tweak them with more empowering words. When I say, I call it power positioning, I power position the word. Okay. I take it from I am to I choose. I choose to be successful. I choose to do this or I choose to do that. From it makes me, when I do this, it makes me feel I decide. You see, now I'm taking control because I'm taking ownership. These are small pieces. I'll teach you a lot more inside the Mindset Domination Kit, by the way. And then the other one is I can't to, I choose not to. Now, this is a big one. I can't go with you on Saturday night because whatever, it doesn't matter what the reason. I can't. I can't. I can't. We hear that all the time. But by just switching up the verbiage a little bit to I choose not to. In fact, in the Seinfeld, there is there's the race where Jerry's going to race this guy from high school. He knows he can't beat him. He knows he beat him the first time fraudulently, and he says, "I choose not to race. I choose not to race." And that's a choice. But do you see how much more empowering that is? I choose not to go with you on Saturday because I have other things planned that are more important, at least in my mind. And I hope you can appreciate that. You see the difference between that or saying I can't go because of some other reason, because it just sounds weak. It sounds really weak. So you've got your ownership, you've got power positioning, and then there's what you have reality architecture. And that's where you look at your language as programming, just like a computer. Your words are force generators. You see, and then using words as force generators, they create patterns as reality creators. So you're creating a reality architecture with your words, with your language. Maybe you've never even thought about that before. Why do you think why do you think that when you watch a movie or a TV show or a play, it's all scripted out? They've got their lines, they've got their words. They didn't just write them out one time and say, "Okay, just say this." They scripted it out. They edited it. They sat around a table and they read through the dialogue and they came to a conclusion. Well, we need to change this. We need to adjust this. This is not good language here. We need more empowering language there. They created the reality of that script. You need to create the reality of your script. And if you're not speaking in an empowering way, it's going to detract from your life. There's no question about it. It already is. When you keep walking around saying you're sorry to everyone. I mean, come on, give me a break. You realize that you're saying you're sorry to everybody if you do that. And a lot of people do it. I see people doing it every single day. So, what's the next phase, right? Let me give you 3-step protocol. And again, Mindset Domination Kit is going to go into so much more detail about the language patterns, everything that you can learn, creating that powerful control. But let me give you a 3-step protocol to help you get on your way of getting out of these language patterns that are not serving you. Is number one is pattern recognition. We'll call it recog. And that's where you identify this victim language. You spot passive patterns that you're using in your language. And you recognize the self sabotage. So, this is a pattern recognition. You recognize the fact that, okay, every time somebody gets near me, I say, "I'm sorry." Okay, stop. Full stop on that. Next time somebody comes up to me and they get close to my space or I get close to their space, instead of saying I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, "Excuse me. Thank you." Done. And believe me, it's It's perfect. there's no there's no problem. Next time you want to say, I get nervous, you replace I get nervous with I feel empowered. I feel empowered. Instead, I get nervous. I feel empowered to be able to do this presentation. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't still be nervous because we all get nervous, for performances. It's the way it is. However, when you don't articulate it and say it, it makes it much less. When you identify something, when you identify that pattern recognition, you're bringing it out into the open and saying, "Hey, this is true." The second thing is a pattern interruption. Pattern interrupt. And what that is, these are stop techniques. A pattern interrupt is when you notice that the pattern's going on, like, I'm sorry, oh, stop, full stop, and then you break the pattern. Now, first time you do it, you're going to feel a little uncomfortable, like, oh, I'm ready to say I'm sorry. No. But you have to create a state change, a power state change that when somebody says that, I'm sorry, you say, excuse me. Or you say, hey, you don't have to say you're sorry, just say, excuse me. Not a big deal, right? That causes them to feel better, causes you to feel better, empowers you, and it causes you to feel like, wow, I got some power, right? So your pattern interrupt, and then the next one is a pattern installation. So you're installing new language templates. Now, I've got a program. Oh, I got a program for that. It's called a powerful man or woman. Now, what is the powerful man or the powerful woman? I can hardly read it. I gotta pull this thing up. Powerful man, powerful woman. They're pattern installations, new language templates, power phrase anchors, reality creation statements. Now, the powerful man I created years ago because as I'm coaching with people, they're saying all these things that are extremely caustic to their life, their financial life, their emotional, their relationships, their physiological, their energy. They're totally creating negative when there doesn't need to be. There's enough negative in the world for you to not have to create more yourself. And so I created the powerful man, the powerful woman, and essentially what this program does is it goes into a self-talk meditation, self-hypnosis if you want, command center where I break down for the individual the exact wording to change the patterns. I go into so much detail that I actually show you, and you can use this for really anything you do. I show you how in every sentence there's power. So if you and I were talking and I could get somebody to transcribe our conversation, I could go back through that conversation and I could highlight and underline and say, this is what you were saying that's powerful, and this is what you were saying that's disempowering. When I teach you how to do that, it allows you and empowers you to understand that the language patterns that you use can always be modified, created, tweaked, and allow yourself to be able to interject the power statements that I teach you. And like, even if I have a scratchy throat and a cough, got to have a cough lozenge just to get through the video, that's okay because that's the way it is. But I'm still empowered because my language is still powerful, even though maybe I have a little bit of a scratchy throat. That's why I don't say I'm sick. I just have a little bit of a sore throat, a little bit of a cough. I really want to, put it on myself, I go with this one, but I'm not going to go with that one. You're not going to go with that one. And these are identifiers, pattern recognition, pattern interrupt, and a pattern installation. Like I said, I could teach you a lot more. It's not enough time here to do that. But this gives you a good framework, gives you a good framework of understanding these language patterns that you're using currently that are not serving you. And that when you switch them up, and you could do it right now, you don't need my help, but of course, I could certainly get you there faster, is get you to understand where your limiting language is. And sometimes you're using language, and again, it's so subconscious you don't even recognize it. The only people that recognize is a third party. Maybe even, sometimes my wife will say to me, you do this where you didn't used to do that, or you talk like this, or you did that. And of course, the first time you hear somebody say that, you're like, oh, no, I don't. But then if you really want to pattern recognize it, recognition, you go, maybe I do talk like that. Maybe my tone is not the way it should be. Maybe I need to tweak a few things in order to make my communication a lot more powerful. And so these are all concepts that you can use immediately. And hopefully, I'll never catch you saying, I'm sorry, nervous, anxious. Just switch it. Now, if you don't know what words to switch it to, think about it. What's going to be more empowering? Or give me a call and we'll talk about it together. I hope you make those decisions. Again, powerful man or powerful woman, if you want to get access to that. I also have the mindset domination system. And oh man, a lot of goodies in there. I'm not going to go into it right now, but you get manipulation, ultimate hypnotic influence, self hypnosis, hypnotic abundance. List goes on and on. There's probably a link somewhere on this page where you can check it out if you so desire. Powerful man, powerful woman. Could only get that with my Quantum Maximizer program, but I give it to you automatically for free. Let me know if you want it. Call me. Let's have a conversation. I've enjoyed sharing. I hope this has been really thought provoking for you. Thanks for watching and have a great day. So long.